Run it, I can't take no loss. I don't even know what it costs. I hit the ground, then it go off. Yeah, hit the ground, then it go off. Yeah, I can't take no loss. I don't even know what it costs. Yeah, I hit the ground, then it go off. Yeah, hit the ground, then it go off. Yeah, run it. Ooh, I really feel it's my time, think it's my year. Yeah, I really feel it's my time, think it's my year. Yeah, I really feel it's my time, think it's my year. Yeah, I really feel it's my time, think it's my pen ready. Used to hold myself back, my self-esteem been petty. Gotta keep on chugging, ran through everything in front of me. Might smoke bed heavy, got a whole agenda. Can't aspire to get ahead, so bump that, it's no surrender. Got a dollar flipped up, I'm trying to get it an FT to get them when they're hand and crypto. Learn how to fix that. I don't really hold out of books, but I'ma learn how to fix that. Some opportunities and never come unless you paying attention, so no, I can't miss that. Moving, MVP, I got the record, I might have to prove something. Big jumper worthy, they gon' have to retire my jersey early. Whole crew coming, had to work something, cause I had nothing in my pocket. Yeah, I did all that. Big plans, partners trying to make profits. Yeah, I did all that. Work, sweat, and tears breaking, even no ends. Yeah, I did all that. Had to make it happen. Putting hours in my practice, I did all that. Yeah, I can't take no loss. Yeah.
All right, welcome back, traders, to another edition of Who's Your Boy Trades. We kind of look pretty good opening here Sunday night. Hit 38.13 as the high. As I've been talking about these levels in my last couple of videos, I'm going to be eyeing 41.05 in the end of the year, barring any global lunatics, amping up these war threats. It's kind of what we're watching in the news that can kind of eliminate any type of good rally we get on. But I got faith, that we're going to see a little bit more rally here before we see a lot of downside. Obviously this week we have tons of big tech earnings. I've been talking about those as well in the last couple of videos. So we got Google, we got Apple, we got Amazon. I mean, all the big tech, all the big leaders this week. So we'll be watching those for sure. Right now, in this, after Sunday night trading where we pulled back to 37.75 after hitting that 38.13, that's a big spot. I mean, bulls definitely want to try to start building some value above that 75 area. However, it is fine if we pull back to 37.40 in my opinion. Now that's kind of a new line in the sand for bulls. We don't want to see it lose that area in the short term. So if we do pull back overnight, we definitely want to see it stop, the selling stop there if we're going to pick it back up. And I'll definitely be trying longs at that area as well as, anywhere close to 75. I'm already in some long swings. We took some off the table on Friday when we got up near that 37.75 high again. But also right now, we still want to watch these targets I've been talking about at 38.20. That was just above my previous 38.05 target, which we hit on Sunday night on the open. Also want to still be watching 38.35, 38.50, 38.65, 38.90, and that weekly high. You may call it an extreme high of 39.35. That zone looks pretty good up there. We'll be taking all the rest of our longs off the table if we do hit that point. Even though I expect 41.05, I think we'll get some other entries, on some pullback. So if we go that high, I definitely won't be taking them off the table there. But we'll see what happens overnight and see where we open. It's going to be an interesting week with all these earnings coming up. So definitely want to be paying attention to that if you're going to be in positions this week, especially swings. All right, I also want to talk about another tool I use occasionally, which is just to check the flow and look at some different option strategies on Market Chameleon. There's a subscription. I don't get paid no money or anything. I don't have no affiliation with them, but I do like to look at this occasionally. And you can see, somebody bought 20 million worth of 290 puts for 18 November on Friday around 12:30. 21.3 million trade, 10,290 puts for November. So they're playing in the money on those as well. We also saw somebody sell 20 million worth of TLT puts, 110 strike, which could be a hedge as well. That's for 16 December. So obviously they're not looking. That's definitely got to be a hedge. And that was a Wall Street floor trade. You can see the execution here was a floor trade on Wall Street. Looks like Netflix, 225 calls. Those are in the money. Some of these big money trades are definitely hedges. You can just tell by the strikes and what they're doing with them. Let's see, IWM. Yeah, looks like somebody got some IWM puts as well. And actually, no, they sold some IWM puts. So that's definitely a good bullish trade. The 160 strike, I like that. They sold them at $4.21 a piece on Friday. sold around 124, so they're looking for the price of IWM to basically by 16 December stay over 160. And they'll collect a nice profit on these, 16.8 million if they hold them to expiration. Let's see. Looks like they may have bought some 175 puts as well. So actually this could be another strategy here, which I kind of run some strategies like this as well, where, you know, I'll follow these trades. They'll sell them for 1 month and buy them for a different month. Kind of a way to reduce risk on trades when you run these spreads like this. And I'll show you what else you can do with Market Chameleon. It's pretty interesting stuff, actually. So if I want to click on the cues, it'll tell me what the order sentiment is on the cues for the day. So like on Friday, obviously it was bullish. You normally can check this out. It has time and sales, which is no good right now because obviously we're after hours. So these are all old from Friday as well. You can take a look at the option chain. So I mean, this just has a little bit of everything. And then there's also some actual ideas on here. Yeah, trade ideas. Here we go. So you can see the top 3 by edge, like the bull put spread, the credit iron butterfly, and the credit iron condor. So like I said, I think I might have already said this. I don't get paid by Market Chameleon or anything, but I do feel this is very useful for me personally anyways. I like seeing the flow on some of these where some of the big money's going, and also like to just, you know, research some of these strategies and back test them. Like for example, I hadn't done very many iron butterflies, but I have ran a couple back tests lately on it just to see how the trade goes, and you know, they've worked out pretty well. Something that I do use often is like just the spreads, like a bull put spread or bear put spread. I do like to run those. You can see top 3 by win rate as well. Everything's bear right now on Q. Obviously 99% lately has been hitting on the bear side. So like the bear put spread, for example, sell a 296 put for the 4th of November, and then buy a 301 put for 4th November. And that's exactly what a bear put spread is. Bear call spread, sell a 296 call for 4 November, buy a 300 call for 4 November. And then the bear call spread on this one is sell a 296, buy a 298 for 4 November. And there's some other strategies here as well. Credits and debits, debit iron condors, you know, long straddle, short straddle. So it's kind of interesting if you normally use those type of strategies to kind of check them out and run some back tests on them. We got historical charts. Yeah, you're not going to see those after hours though. A lot of this stuff you can't see after hours, but you can check the IV, which is pretty nice being able to see these charts as well. It's definitely good for some research. I'd like to use these more often than not. I'm looking at this stuff, you know, after hours or on the weekend. Mostly what I want to see, you know, during trading hours is the actual flow. So like you can see, you know, you can light it up by trade notional. Like so Friday, really these are actually considerably smaller trades than what, you know, sometimes you'll see $60 million trades on here. You know, 21.3 was the highest. And there wasn't, you know, even a whole page of $10 million plus trades. Normally, you know, you get 1 or 2 pages of $10 million plus trades on a really heavy volume day. That wasn't the case on Friday. But there were some interesting trades. Tesla looks like in the mids, so mid price paid. The Qs looks like they were playing the Qs. Yep, they were selling some calls on the Qs down here. So they sold 275 calls. So by 15 December, they're expecting the Qs to remain under 275, which is definitely a possibility, or they could just be hedging because they are long Qs as well. So that's what's really hard to tell with some of the big money trades, but you can also sort these by time, and you can see some of the smaller trades as well. Like anything over 10K is pretty much listed here. So you can see the smaller trades too, right, as they come in. You know, 9:30 right off the bat, somebody bought 250 calls on Tesla for January 23. Spent 14.3 thousand. So it's pretty interesting to be able to see these trades pretty much live. There is a slight delay of when they come in, so if it was at 9:30, you probably won't see it till 9:34, 9:35, about 5-minute delay. But if they're long term like this, it really doesn't make too much of a difference unless the stock just starts ripping off the open, which sometimes it does. Obviously, we know that. And then you can look at the end of the day too, what was bought after hours. So like right literally at 4:15, which is the last minute you can buy anything, we saw some put sales, 167 put sales on IWM come through. Looks like they did run a spread on these. 18 November, actually they sold a whole bunch of puts for IWM for November. It looks like they end up spending about, let's see, 40, 60, yeah, about 150K. Looks like they were happy on that 167 strike. 18 November, looks like they also bought some 167s for that same date. So that one's really interesting. Unless they were just trying to get out of that same position because they decided they didn't want to run it. That all happened right at the last minute there. Kind of interesting. Let's see what else they had right at the end of the day there. Get into it, see if there's any 61K on QQQ calls. They bought 560 of them for 31 October, so yeah, those are for this week. They bought 290s. Right at 414. $61,000 on the 290s. That's awfully bullish of them. Where do we end up closing the Qs at on? Yeah, I mean, we're still down here in the 270s. So they're looking for a monster run by the end of this week. They're definitely betting on some good earnings. Which I kind of am too. I'm kind of banking on some good earnings this week. We'll see. They're not really good, but better than expected, we should say. All right, and while we're at it, we'll go ahead and look at the Qs here as well. So it looks like, we've hopped right back up to the top of this range here in this balance. We want to see the Qs get over this 277.42 and start, heading back up here into these highs here. Because obviously you can see we're testing the bottom of this balance and the top of this balance as we closed Friday. We have made some progress upwards in the Sunday night session, so we'll see how we are in the morning though. But yeah, we want to see it start pressuring these highs here, back here from the beginning of October. If we could pressure those, we could start looking up towards the 100 day EMA around 285. That's my ultimate target on the Qs right now, is I want to see it get it back up to 285 and start pressing over that. If we get some good earnings on tech this week, that's what we'll see. If earnings are bad, we're going to start, heading back down here to the bottom towards the lows. So yeah, any bad earnings or bad news this week, we want to be watching that ultimate low of 260. Short term on the pullback. If we do a pullback, we want to see it holding like 273 tomorrow to remain bullish. Start getting down here, like my line in the sand, like I talked about on ES. On the Qs would be this. See how low do we really want to see this thing go without starting to bank on downside again. Right around 271.50. That's kind of the line in the sand right now. Definitely don't want to see it back down there if we're going to remain bullish, but there's always the possibility that we completely reverse this thing again, just like we have been. I mean, look what we did here. Hit these highs, where we're about where we're at now, send it all the way back down to 266, which we did end up holding, and we sent it right back up. So it's just been kind of a choppy, but nice trading range to actually trade in. Especially if you're only in, if you're only in a trade for a couple days, it's really been working out well to short this area up here, and then get long down here. a lot of the people in our Discord did. We did get long at these pretty much ultimate lows here. Like we've been long from like 35.20 on ES and long from the 260s on the Qs, the lower end of the 260s. So we'll see if they continue to hold up. But I ultimately want to see the Qs back over 285. That would be great. Going to the end of the year, we are going to a seasonally bullish part of the year. Obviously, this isn't the most bullish year, so it's still going to be a challenge to get up here. But after the midterms, I think we can really see a decent rally. Obviously, earnings are going to tell the tale for the next couple weeks. But then after the election, we'll have, a little bit more clarity on what the Fed is going to do in December. Because that's kind of like a roll of the dice right now, whether they're going to do 50 or 75 basis points in December. It's pretty much set in stone. We're going to do 75 for November. And that'll be on November 1st or 2nd. And then we got the midterms on November 8th. And if those go the way I believe they will, then we're probably going to rally afterwards. And that'll be especially true if Powell and, all the Fed chairs agree on a 50-point basis hike or lower in December. And then if they decide to pause for a little bit after they do that December hike, then we'll really have a nice reaction in the short term. But I just can't say that we're going to go back into a bull market because they do plan to keep these rates hikes higher for longer. And that's going to hurt earnings over time. It might not hurt them this quarter, but it can hurt them when they report next quarter in the first quarter of next year. So just because we go on another bull run here, we don't want to get carried away and think that, the new bull market has started. I think a lot of people got caught in that in July and August. We got up here. I heard a lot of the media saying, oh, man, anytime we, 50% retrace back to highs, that's the start of a new bull market. It's never given that back up. What do you know? We came down here and we made new lows. So, what everyone thought was going to be pretty bullish and probably thought we wouldn't give up, this area here around 310, 311. We came all the way back down in the 250s. And obviously this got bought up strong. You can see the wick. But I mean, that ultimate low of 254.20, that's still going to be in play if things start to turn negative again. But as of right now, like I said, we've been pretty bullish the last couple days. 3 weeks of closing higher for the weekly. So that's a good sign. Let's look at the weekly here and we can kind of see that a little bit better. So yeah, these 3 weeks here, you can see just barely a little bit low. We closed just a smidge higher last week, and then this final week that we had just got through was a pretty strong close by the bulls. But we are still in this range. We got 2 ranges down here that we're fighting with. We got this weekly range, we got this weekly range, and this weekly range. And they're really, you can see these two weekly candles are pretty much the same other than, we did wick from up here. But the same with this one here. We wicked from all the way up here on that Monday and Tuesday rally, if anyone remembers it. We finished all the way down here for the week. This one, we sold it all the way off to the ultimate lows. Ended up closing the week back up here around like 270. This one we came back down, 266 was the low. Closed the week back over 275. So for the Qs, like I said, 285 is definitely my short-term target. I want to get above that and start seeing a push back to the top of this channel. And this channel, let's see on the Qs, see by the time we hit it, we're looking close to 300. It's definitely where, I'd be trying shorts, but it just depends. If we start to push over that a little bit, we might get a better entry. But this channel, you can see it's played out so nicely this year. Not that the channel means a whole lot, but it is pretty crazy how this channel does line up. We've touched the bottom, we've touched the top. We headed down close to this bottom with that wick. Didn't quite get there. Now we're pushing back up into the upper half of the channel. We'll see if we can stay in this upper half of the channel now for a while. And you can see the buying, like I said, always look at the volume profile. Let's see at the weekly. Let's pull it back a little bit. You can kind of see it better. Yeah, so the weekly we did have buyers stepping in down here. And obviously you can see, like, if we would have lost this, we had room all the way down to the 240s. So look at this volume gap on the weekly. It's a pretty big gap from 257 to 244.85. So yeah, we would have, if we would have stayed, not had that big rally off the ultimate lows, oof, could have got nasty quick. But buyers stepped in fast, and we saw that squeeze, which was incredible. I mean, I saw some stats where if you would have bought $1,000 worth of SPX options at $5, you could have been a millionaire, which is just crazy. Don't ever take that advice and try and do that. That's like throwing money away. For one, nobody would hold $1,000 worth that long if they were up. You know, even if they get up 500%, they're going to start selling them. Not going to hold them till they're a millionaire. That would be just crazy. But yeah, I mean, I got the fib levels lined up on here too, and you can see that 61.8% retracement level. We dipped slightly below it. Obviously, this wick took us down there, but then, you know, when we rallied, we closed right above that. It did not. That 258.64 has been big. So order flow, volume profile, Fibonacci levels, and then just paying attention to these channel. Don't use a channel as a trading indicator or anything, but it's nice to just see the action on these as well. But that 258.64 is definitely a level to watch if we head back to lows. 287.53, like I said, get over 285 is really my big spot that I want to hit. But if we do get over 285, 287.53 is one to watch to see if we can start closing above, because that's the 50% retracement level on the fib from the COVID lows. So we definitely want to keep an eye on that. And then we got up to 316.42, which is obviously irrelevant at this point when we're still trading down here, but something to watch into the end of the year. And as you can see, we did get above that in August when we had the big rally where we hit 334.80. Couldn't quite get back to that 2.236 retracement level at 352.17. I think that would be probably a good sign of a bull market. I know some of my fellow traders are calling for that we could possibly trade, 43, 4,400, but I'll believe that when I see it. I think I just want to look for that 4,100 first. 42.21, there's a nice gap up there too on ES. And I would obviously push the Qs back up into this area here, slightly above it. But we're just going to play it slow here. Like I said, we've been pretty choppy down here for a couple weeks. Got a couple balances that we need to break. Start closing above, building some value. And we need some good earnings to help us out this week. That's going to be the key. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what I'm looking at going into this week. As always, be sure to check out the Discord, Bullprint. You can find us, you can Google us, find us that way. There's always a link in the description to my videos. Be sure to check us out, man. Great community. We got some great analysts, just some great traders, just a great group of guys and gals, for real. I mean, I think you'll love it. You get a free week trial. Be sure to check us out. Be sure to smash that like and subscribe button. And as always, thank you for watching. I love y'all.